With FPL being back, I thought, let's make a video based on the players that are the most differential. Best differential players. Because, of course, you're going to get people with the likes of Salah, of course, all the big boys like Gabriel and Saliba, Haaland. You're going to get people with all those. But ones you want to be a bit different. So these are the best recommended players that I'd say the differential and could potentially have good seasons and be the little standout, so to speak. Okay, so first off, we're going to start off with low premium defenders. Now, you're probably thinking, why am I starting with defenders? Why not goalkeeper? To be honest, there's not really many like differential goalkeepers that are that good. So I'm just going to leave the goalkeeper section out. But yeah, for defenders, first low premium option, I'm going with Calafiori of Arsenal. Now, this obviously depends on if he can stay fit. That is the main thing with him, fitness. But whenever he did play last season, he was quite good. Quite good. I mean, he scored 2 goals. I remember one he scored against Man City. He was an absolute banger, to be fair. And yeah, he's quite versatile. Can play at left back. Can play at, obviously, centre back as well. He's quite a good player. I mean, he's 25th out of 221 centre backs in the game. Well, defenders in the game. Price at about 5.5 million, so of course he isn't going to be the cheapest because he's a low premium player. But if you can't afford the likes of Gabriel or Saliba, then I think Calafiori could be one of those that you could potentially go for. Another low premium would be 2 Man City defenders, which would be come in the form of Matheus Nunes and Rico Lewis. If I can just get their stats up, in fact, it'll be easier for me to just go on to. Actually, nah. I'll just type them in. Matheus. I'll put Rico Lewis because yeah, he's only got a 0.6 team selection rate by like other managers in the game, and yeah, he's a good solid option, Rico Lewis. Whenever he plays, of course, Man City didn't have the greatest of seasons last season, but yeah, Rico Lewis he can start a few games. Of course, he is in competition with Matheus Nunes. You can keep swapping between the two to see which one you would prefer in that sense. But yeah, they're not too bad. Not too bad, either one of them. I mean, of course, Nunes, he didn't start off his career well at City, but once he went at right back in the second half of last season, he started to perform relatively alright. But yeah, Rico Lewis as well, very solid option. But yeah, those are like low premium, because yeah, Rico Lewis is 5 million, and I believe Nunes is the same. If I just see if I can find him. But why does he not appear? That is very annoying. Right, if I just. But yeah, I think he's worth about 5 million as well, to be honest, guys. I can't find him, but for some reason he's not popping up on the FPL website. Yeah, in terms of medium cost differential defenders, one of them is Connor Bradley. Now, most people are probably thinking, Frimpong's joined Liverpool, he'll be the starter. I don't know. I mean, Frimpong has a high selection rate because of that. But to be honest, Frimpong wasn't a right back at Leverkusen. He was more of like a right wing back, right midfielder. And of course, he will be competing with Connor Bradley, who is obviously a natural right back. And despite him being on the bench last season, due to the fact that obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold was playing in that right back spot, I think Slot does prefer Bradley. Well, he would prefer Bradley in that position. But of course, time will tell, I guess. But I do feel like Connor Bradley will get the nod ahead of Frimpong. Because you've seen him pre-season already. If you've been seeing certain like Liverpool pre-season games, Frimpong's been playing a lot more advanced. He's been coming on for like Salah in that right wing position. He hasn't been playing at right back. So yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what Slot goes with. But I think it could be Connor Bradley, and if it is Connor Bradley, then if you got him in your team, you're in the money, basically. As for some other ones, this is a big one, by the way. This one is a big one. Keane Lewis Potter of Brentford. Now you're probably thinking, why on earth am I putting him on here? He's not a defender, surely. Naturally, he's not, but he was playing it in defence last season for Brentford. But obviously, now that they've lost the Mbeumo, I feel like with him being classed as a defender in FPL, and if he does play a bit more advanced, King Lewis Potter could be a player that can get you some serious points. Depending on how well Brentford do, obviously, because Obviously, like I've said, they've lost Mbeumo, they've lost Thomas Frank, Norgard, could potentially still lose Wizard. So yeah, but this could all depend on how well Brentford react in that regard and how they could get on. But yeah, I think Lewis Potter is a very, very solid bet in that sense. But yeah, another different, well, I say they're all differentials, but yeah, another option that you could go with is for Crystal Palace, Borna Sosa or Tyreek Mitchell. Sosa only has a 0.1% selection. Pretty sure Mitchell's the same if I have a quick look at Mitchell. Oh, he's 0.9, but yes, Borna Sosa being a 0.1 selection. I mean, it's really a big toss-up between which one of them is going to play, to be really honest, because, yeah, of course, Borna Sosa is a more attacking fullback, whereas Mitchell's obviously more defensive-minded, so it depends on what Glasner wants in that sense. Especially since how Munoz on the other side, he likes to go forward quite a bit, so I would imagine that it would probably end up being Mitchell who probably starts, but either way, they're both still pretty good options to have. Only like 5 million. But yeah, it's not that bad at all. It is not that bad at all. And then the final medium differential I'd have is Nico Williams, or Neko Williams, however the hell you see his name, of Nottingham Forest. 5 million, only got a 1.4 selection rate. Not too bad. I mean, of course, he can play on either side of the defence. He can play at right back, he can play at left back. He's quite dependable for them, Forest. But of course, if you can't, I mean, you probably see a lot of people have Olayena in the teams. I mean, I have Olayena personally, as you've seen in the previous video. So yeah, if you don't want to put Olayena in, you want to be a bit different, go with Nico Williams. Go with Nico Williams. I feel like it'd be a good little bet to do. I mean, he got 109 points last season. Got 3 assists, 1 goal. Not too bad. Not too bad at all for him. But yeah, if you want to go for a Forest defender, that's a bit different. Then yeah, because of course, like I said, most people go with Olayena, Murillo, Milenkovic. So yeah, if you want somebody a bit different, then Nico Williams is the one. And then for the low-cost options, you could have Timothy Castagne or Kenny Tete, who are both quite low down on the team selection things. Tete is 0.2, and I think Castagne is roughly about the same as well. So yeah, it's quite mad because Fulham haven't really brought in any fullbacks as far as I'm aware. So yep, I mean, I don't know why they're so low down, to be brutally honest. I mean, maybe it's their fixtures that they start off with, potentially, but yeah, they've been pretty dependable, Kenny Tete and Castagne, so I don't really understand why they're so low down. I mean, looking at the stats here, I mean, yeah, 2 assists for Kenny Tete. If I look at Castagne, he should have some decent stats. There we go. He's 0.2% selection as well. Yeah, Castagne's got decent stats, so I don't know why on earth they're so low down in that sense, especially if these new defensive contribution points and obviously Fulham might, with these having this tougher start with fixtures, maybe they'll get more defensive contribution points potentially. But yeah, I don't understand why they're so low down because yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, if you want like a budget defender, then Tete and Castagne are definitely up there if you ask me. Another option you could go with is Kadioglu of Brighton, the Turkish left back. Yeah, of course, with the departure of Stupinian, he's gone to AC Milan now. So yeah, I think Kadioglu will get quite a lot of game time, to be brutally honest. Quite a lot of game time on that left-hand side, and who knows how he could get on. I mean, he had a decent campaign last time out. He got a goal, to be fair to him. We got 19 points. I think he could get a lot more now that he should be the starting left-back with Stupinian being off to AC Milan. And of course, Brighton don't have the easiest start to the season, but I still feel like they could do some decent things. And again, at 4.5 million, with only a 0.4 selection rate, I think that could be a good option for your team as well. And then a little bit stab in the dark here. Trey Hume with Sunderland. Now, of course, Sunderland are one of the favourites to get relegated, as obviously by the stats, because in recent times, the 3 teams that got promoted in the Championship have gone straight back down. But Hume, he can do a few things. I mean, When I've seen the Sunderland game, I do see that he gets booked quite a bit. So if you're not a fan of people getting yellow cards constantly in your team, maybe don't go for him. But he does put in good tackles, and he can definitely add to that defensive contribution thing. And especially considering that Sunderland, in most of their games, they're probably going to have to be defending quite a lot. So I imagine that Hume would be getting some decent points. And at 4.5 million, only a 0.4 selection rate, I think Trey Hume is a very good option to have for your team. Now let's move on to the midfielders. Right, so here we are with the midfielders. Now, to start off with low premium, you could go with Anthony Gordon or Harvey Barnes of Newcastle. I don't know why they're not really selected that much. I mean, Gordon has a 2.9 selection rate, but you'd think it might be a bit higher considering, obviously, when he plays, he's Newcastle's starting left winger, and he does contribute quite a bit. I mean, maybe it's because of Newcastle's start the season. I mean, they've got Aston Villa away and then Liverpool at home, so obviously those two fixtures are not very good to start off with. But yeah, I mean, looking at Gordon's points, he got 124 points last season, six goals and 6 assists. So yeah, that isn't too bad from him at all. And yeah, if we look at Harvey Barnes as well, I don't understand it why some of these players are so low down. I mean, Harvey Barnes is a 0.5 section rate, 6.5 million. He is back up to Anthony Gordon, Harvey Barnes, but I mean, look at this. He's still got 130 points, to be fair to him. 9 goals, 5 assists. Not too bad. Not too bad. I do imagine it is probably due to the fact that the first 2 games are not very good reading, but I still think they're a good differential to have. The pair, either one of them. I'd personally go with Gordon because he's more likely to start, but yeah, but I mean, Harvey Barnes could potentially. It really depends on what happens, really. I mean, he could start on the right, Harvey Barnes, potentially. I mean, you never know, but yeah, we'll just wait and see. Another option you could potentially go with on the low premium side of things is Kevin Schade of Brentford. He's classed as a midfielder, worth 7 million. I imagine he's probably going to get significantly more game time due to the fact that obviously Mbeumo has left Brentford. So I do imagine that he will get significantly more game time. 2.4 selection rate. But of course, kind of similar to King Lewis Potter, you have to really see how Brentford get on this season with obviously the amount of people that they've lost in the club. Mbeumo, Frank, Norgard. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they manage. We're looking at Shardy's stats. He got 149 points last season. 11 goals, 4 assists, not too bad. I mean, especially considering he was mostly a backup to the likes of Wizard and Mbeumo. So yeah, not too bad from him there. Not too bad. We're going back across to London. Well, we'll say back across to London. We're already in London with Brentford. But yeah, Alex Iwobi, we're at 1.3 selection rate. I mean, he wasn't that bad. He was 33rd in out of all the midfielders last season, and then 6.5 price range, got 156 points last season. That is not bad at all. 9 goals, 6 assists. That's really not that bad for Alex Iwobi. Not that bad at all. I mean, he is a very good differential player. I mean, like I said, only the 1.3 selection rate. I mean, Iwobi looks like he could be a good option. I mean, like Fulham's fixtures, Brighton away, Man United at home, Chelsea away. It's a bit of a difficult start, but I still think Iwobi will be able to get some decent points there, if I'm being brutally honest. Now we'll go on to another London team with Ismaila Sarr of Crystal Palace. Now, of course, this does depend on if they manage to keep Eze, because if Eze leaves, then I feel like Crystal Palace could be in the mud. So this all depends on that. But if Eze stays, then Ismaila Sarr is a pretty decent option. 6.5 million. I've seen some stats that he is a bit wasteful in terms of XG and stuff like that. He performs lower than his XG, expected goals or something like that. So yeah, it's not ideal for Sarr, but 149 points isn't too bad though. Not too bad at all. I mean, he got 8 goals, 7 assists last season. But yeah, Palace's start isn't the greatest. Chelsea away, Forest at home, Aston Villa away. But then after that, they've got some decent fixtures. Got Sunderland at home and then West Ham away. Yeah, those 2 fixtures aren't too bad for them. And of course, Sarr can definitely contribute for Crystal Palace. But yeah, he's a decent option. I mean, if you can't afford Eze for whatever reason, then yeah, Ismaila Sarr, he could definitely be a one that could fit into most some teams. And then the final low premium option, Enzo Fernandez. He's got a 4.5 selection rate, 6.5 million worth value. Yeah, I don't think he's that bad, to be honest. I mean, we've seen at the Club World Cup, he was playing in a bit more of an advanced midfield position, whereas Palmer was on that right-hand side. And, of course, Palmer was starting to cook again on that right-hand side, so I wouldn't be surprised if Enzo Maresca ends up sticking with that and having Enzo Fernandez in the more attacking midfield role. And yeah, you could get a few more goals with that as well. I mean, looking at his stats from last season, 135 points in total, 6 goals, 8 assists. If he plays in a more advanced midfield position, he could definitely get you a few more. But if you can't afford Palmer, then I would definitely look at Enzo Fernandez to put into your teams. Looking at medium defenders, so like a medium sort of like range, you're looking at Minter at Brighton. Got 0.8 selection, 6 million value. Not too bad. 102 points last season. 6 goals, 5 assists. Again, not bad at all. It's a decent little differential player you could have there. Not bad at all. But then also, of course, from Arsenal, Mikel Merino. I'm surprised he's not higher, like, up in the selection rate. I mean, I know as of the time of the recording this, they've just signed Gyökeres, Arsenal. So I don't really think we'll see Mikel Merino playing at striker anymore, but he can still do a job, to be honest. I mean, see if Gyökeres gets injured or Havertz is injured or whatever, then Merino can easily step in at a striker, and then, yeah. I mean, he got 92 points overall last season, 7 goals, 2 assists. Not bad for a debut campaign for Arsenal. And yeah, they've got some decentish fixtures. I mean, they got Man United away first, Leeds at home, so yeah, it isn't really that bad, to be brutally honest. Now, we're looking at a load of Aston Villa players here. Yuri Tielemans, Jacob Ramsey, Daniel Mallon, and John McGinn. All the same price range, and all have got a pretty low selection rate. I mean, if we look at Tielemans, he's got a 1.5 selection rate. Ramsey, he has got a 0.6 selection rate, and he's only 5.5 mil. And it is absolutely mental. Tielemans is 6 million. We've got Daniel Mallon, again, with 5.5 mil, only 0.6 selection. And then big John McGinn, 0.6 selection, 5.5 million. So yeah, there's Aston Villa, decent options there. Decent options. I mean, if you can't afford someone like Ollie Watkins in your team, you could definitely go with this route, like the likes of McGinn. He can get an assist or the odd goal. Daniel Mallon, I feel like will get a bit more game time this season as well. Jacob Ramsey, he's gone a bit, I wouldn't say off the boil, but he's gone a bit more under the radar compared to where he was when he first broke onto the scene. But yeah, that I still feel like that is those 4 Villa options are very good options for differential players. And then if we look at Fulham, we've got options of Adama Traore. He's got a 0.3 selection rate, which is quite mad, to say the least. But yeah, of course, Adama doesn't really get that many goals, but assists, he can definitely contribute in that regard. So Adama Traore is an option. Andreas Pereira is another option. If I just put his name in, let's look at his soap. Why is he not Andreas? Oh my god, I can't spell today. There we go. He's known as Andreas in the game. Yeah, 5.5 million as well, and 0.4 selection rate. 2 goals, 6 assists last season, total 81 points. Yeah, he's not that bad of an option either, if you ask me, if you're looking on a budget. And Emil Smith-Rowe. Now, I feel like it's a big season for Smith-Rowe. We've got 1.2 selection rate, valued at 6 million in FPL. Yeah, I feel like it's a big season here for Smith-Rowe. Of course, he moved to Fulham last summer. Still got 114 points, to be fair to him. But yeah, fair play. 6 goals, 3 assists. I feel like he can definitely contribute a bit more in that sense, but I think he's a very, very solid option. I'd say Smith-Rowe is the best out of the bunch, but if you can't get him in for whatever reason, then you could go with Adama or Andreas Pereira, depending on what you fancy. But yeah, another Brighton player we're going to go towards now is Hinshelwood. 5.5 million, 0.2 selection rate. He had a decent campaign last time out, 89 points overall, 5 goals, 3 assists. Not too bad from Hinshelwood, and of course, with Brighton continuing to strengthen and strengthen. Of course, they have lost João Pedro to Chelsea, so that's a bit of a blow. But you know what Brighton are like; they'll just sign some random guy from some random league, and then he'll end up being the next best thing, and then they'll start getting towards European spots again, and Hinshaw would definitely be a good part of that. Will 100% be a good part of that. And then the final one in terms of medium range is Bellegarde of Wolves. 5.5 million, 0.1 selection. I think the only thing that's keeping people away from Wolves players is, of course, they've lost Cunha. Their squad isn't the greatest, so they could definitely be in that relegation battle. And of course, their start of the season isn't the easiest. I mean, they got a Man City first game of the season, which is a bit rough in that sense. But then Bournemouth away, Everton at home, Newcastle away. I mean, it's a bit hit and miss fixtures there. But then once they got Leeds, and then avoiding Tottenham, their fixtures aren't too bad. I mean, in October they've got Sunderland away and then Burnley at home, which isn't too bad for them. Those should be some decent points there. And yeah, Bellegarde can definitely get the odd goal contribution. I mean, got 90 points overall last season, 2 goals, 7 assists. Not too bad at all from Bellegarde. And now if you're looking for a budget player, like if you're just trying to squeeze the last bit of money you can on a midfielder, one of them I would recommend is Amadou Onana of Aston Villa. Got a 1.8 selection rate and 5 million value. He's not that bad of an option. 65 total points. Got 3 goals last season, which is very impressive for a CDM. And of course, with the defensive contribution points you get this season, I feel like he will be a solid option in that sense. Because if Villa keep clean sheets, he puts in good tackles, maybe he gets the odd goal here and there. You could be getting a hell of a lot of points with Amadou Onana. Yeah, he is definitely one of the budget ones I'd go with. Going back to Brentford, Janelt, with a 0.2 selection rate, 5 million, 73 total points overall. Yeah, again, it could be another player that could benefit massively from these defensive contribution points introductions. Yeah, Janelt kind of goes a bit under the radar with Brentford, because obviously they've had the likes of Mbeumo, of course, Wizard doing well, Tony when he was there. And then, yeah, Norgard's mostly talked about more on that midfield. But, yeah, Janelt is still a decent player, to be fair to him. And, of course, like I said, with the other Brentford options, it really does depend on how Brentford do with and manage with the losses of the likes of Mbeumo, Thomas Frank, etc. But, yeah, but Janelt is still an option for the budget. I mean, even if Brentford don't do well, he's just a good budget option, really. He's just a good budget option. And then Carlos Baleba of Brighton, 5 million again. He's got a 4.1 selection, so a little bit higher up. But yeah, he's a very good young player, Carlos Baleba. Very, very good young player. And again, another one who could potentially benefit from this the defensive contribution points. Not too bad at all. And then 3 goals, 1 assist. Not too bad from him. So yeah, Brighton just continue to go from strength to strength. Another Sunderland player, surprisingly, on this list, Enzo the Fair. Now, of course, they brought him in the second half of last season on loan from Roma, which was absolutely mental, by the way. The fact that a championship club could bring in someone from Roma in January, fair play. It was absolutely mad, and of course, he was a big factor as to why they ended up getting promoted from the championship into the Premier League. And yeah, he's a decent option. I mean, 1.7 selection rate. I mean, he's a bit of a playmaker for them. So obviously, he can take set pieces. He's got a good, obviously, free kicks. He's quite decent at corners as well. He has the good strike on him. And of course, he can play at a bit more advanced midfield, or he can play a little bit deeper as well. So he could potentially get some defensive contribution points, which wouldn't be too bad. I mean, if Sunderland's first 2 fixtures are alright as well, West Ham could be a bit difficult, but then Burnley, of course, they'll be competing with Burnley to avoid the drop. So yeah, that could be good. Some decent points there for Lafayette, a bit of a differential there. If, I know most people from Sunderland, if you're going to pick a Sunderland player in like the more forward-thinking areas, you're probably thinking of like a Dingra. But yeah, the fear is definitely an option for that, if you ask me. And then the final player of the midfield, Adam Wharton. Now, of course, we all know how good Adam Wharton has been for like, Palace, but obviously he hasn't been like the greatest in terms of FPL. Not many CDMs have, because they don't really get that many points. But yeah, he's worth 5 million, got a 0.7 selection rate. But yeah, this new defensive contribution thing, Wharton could honestly be a decent little pickup for if you're on that little budget. I mean, I know 5 million isn't a super budget, but it's still a good option, to be honest. He can get the odd assist. Of course, he hasn't got a goal yet, but he can get the odd assist, and we know how good of a player Wharton is. I mean, you don't get into the England team for no reason, unless you obviously called Harry Maguire or Jordan Henderson. But that's besides the point. That's an odd debate for another time. But yeah, Adam Wharton finishes off the midfield section. Now let's move on to the attackers. So yeah, the attackers, and I've got to be honest a bit here, guys. The forward-thinking players in FPL this year aren't very great. So it was a bit hard to make the forward list. But in terms of premium options you could go with in differential, Kai Havertz. And this will especially make more sense now that obviously Arsenal have got Gyökeres. So, I mean, Havertz can play in midfield as well. So it helps quite a bit there. I mean, 97 points Havertz got last season. 9 goals, 3 assists. Not too bad. I mean, he had that little patch where he was looking like he was performing really well, but then injuries kind of got in his way. So if you can't afford the likes of Saka or Gyökeres, whatever price he's going to end up being, then yeah, Havertz I feel like will be a very good option. But then if we go to Bournemouth and Evan Nilsson, for some reason he's not that selected that much. 7 million, 2.9 selection rate. I mean, he had a decent-ish campaign last time out. 10 goals, 5 assists. I mean, of course he wasn't the star of that Bournemouth team because the likes of Kluivert and Semenyo. But Evan Nilsson, he started a decent campaign. And of course it was his first season in England, so excuse me, after moving from Porto. So yeah, but it just maybe just needed a bit of time to adapt to the league and that. But of course, with Bournemouth, they have lost Dean Huijsen to Real Madrid, and then they could potentially lose their other centre back, Zabanyi, to PSG. But of course, time will tell on that one. But I do think Evan Nilsson will have a better campaign in terms of the stats. So yeah, but those are like the premium attackers in terms of differential. And then if you want medium-ish, Raul Jimenez. Seems like to me like he's gotten back to his best at Fulham. Sorry, yeah, 6.5 million, 2.4 selection rate. Of course, he takes the penalties for them when he's on the pitch, and he just delivers, doesn't he? Last season, he got a total of 147 points, 12 goals, 3 assists. Yeah, Jimenez seems like he's getting back to his best. Because, of course, after that horrific injury he suffered when he was at Wolves, when he fractured his skull, you never really thought he was the same after that. But last season, he started to pick up again, and he was really solid. He was really, really solid. I mean, it was the best points scoring season he had since the 2019-20 season, which I believe was the year where he suffered that fractured skull. So, yeah, that's a good thing to see from Raul Jimenez. And, yeah, very good differential option if you can't really afford, like, the top tier, like, strikers. Another option you could potentially go with is Barry, the new Everton signing. Of course, we will be competing with Beto, but I feel like Everton wouldn't spend the money they did to bring him in just to be like a backup. But yeah, 1.8 selection rate, 6 million value. Yeah, I, as a Barcelona fan, I obviously watch a lot of La Liga, and when I've seen Barry play for Villarreal, he has been very, very impressive. I mean, there's been times when obviously we played Villarreal, and he's been with their main like threat and whatnot, alongside like Alex Baena, who's had Atletico Madrid. But yeah, Barry, decent option if you can't like if you just want that like that differential, obviously, and then get an Everton player in, because I feel like under Moyes they definitely did start to build quite a bit, and now with like the additions of Barry, I feel like they could improve a little bit more, and they've got a good opening fixture against Leeds, so that is very, very good for them as well. The final option in the medium category is Igor Thiago. If I can find where he is. Just hold on 1 second. There he is, Thiago. 6 million, 0.8 selection, the Brentford striker. He came in to replace Ivan Toney, and of course he didn't really get to play that much last season because of an injury long-term injury that he suffered. But of course, with Mbeumo now going, I feel like he could definitely get a lot more game time. But the problem with him is, can he stay fit? That is the main issue with him. Can he stay fit? Because, yeah, he only got 9 points last season. Didn't get a goal or an assist because, yeah, he was injured for, like, the majority of the campaign. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Igor Thiago gets on. If he can stay fit and can actually score some goals, then he could be a decent option. He could very much be a decent option. Now, for budget, there was only one person I could find. One person I could find, and he's a bit of a FIFA/FC legend, Lucas Nemecha of Leeds. Team selection of 1.1%, 5 million value. I mean, of course, he is playing for Leeds. Of course, ex-Man City, based on that picture there, you can see. Yeah, Everton at home could be a bit difficult, but I imagine he will be Leeds' main striker, potentially alongside Joe Pirro. So yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on the Mecha. But yeah, I mean, it's basically a differential striker, and this is budget. So even if you've like just got like that little 5 million there, just to get Nemecha in, I mean, as like the third choice striker, like say like you've got like Haaland and Watkins. If you just want the third choice striker, the Mecha's a good little bet because I do imagine that he will be playing a lot for our Leeds, considering obviously, yeah, they're going to be in a bit of a relegation scrap. But of course, it depends on what Daniel Farker wants to do and if he wants to maybe start Joe Pirro or something. We have to wait and see. But yeah, that's my differentials list, guys. Let me know what you think of the differentials and whether you think you agree with me, whether you disagree, whether there's some differentials you thought maybe I missed out on and I should have included in the video. Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you all for watching this. I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.